Stone Cold Prose, building better words.
Hi guys, welcome back to Stone Cold Prose, where we build better words, better thoughts, and better men. I'm Miles Watson, novelist and author of numerous award-winning series, including Cage Life, Sinner's Cross, and The Chronicles of Magnus. I worked in Hollywood for 12 years, law enforcement for another 10, and now I break it all down and build it back better. In 2007, I moved to California with my girlfriend of the time to pursue my long-delayed dream of working in the entertainment industry. Like a lot of Gen X kids, I grew up at a time when Hollywood still retained most of, if not all of, its golden age glamour. And Tinseltown had always had the same mystique for me that a place like Disney World or Graceland might have for someone else. I wanted to be part of movie magic. The only obstacles to this were the fact that I lived 2,500 miles away, had no experience in the field, and was coming out of law enforcement, which was hardly a translatable skill. The dream persisted, however, so I turned in my tin, packed my Buick LeSabre, and made tracks for La La Land. Cut to 2020. At the height of the pandemic, at a time I wasn't even sure I'd be allowed to cross state lines with California plates, I fled Los Angeles specifically, and California generally, for the East Coast whence I came, despite the fact that I'd been able to make a living in the industry, working at different times in makeup effects, video games, and various other aspects of the business. In doing this, I not only lost all the seniority I'd painstakingly earned over 12 and a half years in the industry, I left behind friends and family as well as any hopes that I might someday level up in the business. I wasn't just leaving a state, I was leaving a dream. Why? Why did I dump California? Why are tens of thousands of people dumping California now, specifically Southern California, and most specifically Los Angeles? Let's get into this. I want to start by saying California has a lot going for it. And so does Los Angeles County, and so does the city of Los Angeles itself. I have never lived anywhere that has more to do or contained so many different cultural ecosystems or possess such radical beauty in the form of oceans and mountains and deserts and all of that concentrated, by the way, in a relatively small geographic area. In LA, it's possible to visit Mexico, Thailand, Korea, Armenia, Ethiopia, China, and Vietnam, just to name a few, without leaving the city limits. It's possible, in theory anyway, to eat in a different restaurant every day for pretty much the whole of your natural life and never visit the same place twice, although you might end up in the same place physically if the previous restaurant at that location failed, which happens all the time. It's possible to go hiking, to do studio tours, to go to major theme parks, massive Renaissance fairs, farmers markets, sporting events, beaches, casinos, all manner of concerts and one-man shows, and see classic movies in famous theaters like The Egyptian or Mann's or Grauman's Chinese, whatever they're calling it nowadays, and then talk to the stars who were in those movies afterwards, because they often show up as guests. It's possible to see your favorite actors in playhouses that have less than 100 seats, so that you're almost touching distance from them and can talk to them afterwards. It's possible to witness in many areas of the city the old-fashioned, pre-identity politics dream of the American melting pot in action. Men and women, gay and straight, white, brown, black, almond, whatever, living, working, socializing, and romanticizing in as close to perfect harmony as I've ever seen anywhere in the world. London, Paris, New York, anywhere. What's more, if you're actually in the entertainment industry, you hang out all day with people who are just as big of nerds as you are for things like movies, television, music, graphic novels, cartoons, comic books, anime, manga, sci-fi, fantasy, stand-up comedy, whatever. Any aspect of popular culture you might cherish, you will immediately run into others who cherish it just as much as you do. In LA, you'll see a bald, bearded white dude who's 6'6", 350, and rides a Harley, having a friendly argument with a 5'5", 120-pound gay black dude who drives an EV about whether Kirk, Picard, or Cisco is the best captain in the history of Starfleet, over beers no less. There's a passion for entertainment which is genuine and which bridges what in other places might be unbridgeable gaps. Anyone who's ever been to a Social Distortion concert knows exactly what I'm talking about here. But California, and especially SoCal, has a very dark side, one which seems to be getting darker every day. I'm going to set aside the tectonic changes in the entertainment industry that have been happening for the last few years which are reducing it to rubble shift by shift, and concentrate on what applies to everyone. Although I do note in passing that what affects Tinseltown does affect everyone else in the state one way or the other, but that's a story for a separate video. Number one is the prices. When I moved out of my one bedroom in Park La Brea in 2013 and headed for Burbank, I was paying $1,650 a month for that nice one bedroom. That same apartment now goes for between $2,300 and $2,900 a month. In Burbank, the converted garage, uninsulated, for which I was paying $1,025 a month when I left in 2020, was considered a steal and is now going for $3,000 a month. A house rental in Burbank was $5,000 a month when I lived there, and that was 4 years ago. Do the math on that, and you'll see that the sort of income you require to afford even modest living accommodations in respectable neighborhoods is far beyond what most jobs in the area actually pay, which is why I was working 3 jobs when I lived in Park La Brea. But even in neighborhoods where rents are cheaper, places like Panorama City or Arleta or Sun Valley or Pacoima, they aren't much cheaper. And the crime in some of those areas is really, really bad. You simply aren't getting what you pay for. Now apply this to gas, food, drink, entertainment, and every other damn thing you can name, and you come to understand that whatever you make probably isn't going to be enough. The prices are always going up on everything, and at a pace that does victory laps around the cost of living, any side hustle money you've got coming in, or frankly anything you're doing short of imitating Carlos Escobar. Number 2 is the traffic. Traffic in LA is legendary for a reason. The Hollywood freeway is considered the most congested highway in the United States, sometimes the world, but in my opinion, the 170 ain't shit compared to the 101 or the 5 at rush hour. They're just parking lots. And rush hour in LA does not actually conform to any location of the clock. It just happens when it happens, and it happens a lot of the time. When I lived in Sherman Oaks in Mid-City West, I used to walk to my bank, which was like 1.5 miles each way, because it was actually faster than driving. Google AI laughably claims the average Southern Californian spends about 1 hour a day commuting. Double that and you come a little closer to the truth. Number 3 is the bubble. Los Angeles is one of the biggest echo chambers in the world. The place is so politically one-sided that even super intelligent people, I mean people that I consider to be brilliant, eventually come to this distorted view of reality because they lack exposure to dissenting opinions and worldviews which are necessary for human beings to learn and grow and think critically. They think everyone thinks like they do, and they have a tendency to ostracize people who think differently. This not only insulates them from reality and makes for unpleasant shocks when the needle of reality runs into the bubble of delusion, it leads to an environment in which people who dissent are afraid to do so, which in turn leads to all sorts of terrible decisions getting made because nobody wants to tell the emperor he's got no freaking clothes on. Politics and Hollywood. Effect becomes divorced from cause. I am a political centrist, and I was appalled at the naivete I was always encountering. For example, someone told me back in 2016 that Trump couldn't win because not one person he knew was voting for Trump. Well, duh. You live in LA, dude. Nobody did. And anybody who was never going to admit it in public. But the person who said this is literally one of the smartest people I know, I've ever met. And you may think that's funny, but when you actually live it, it's really suffocating. Number 4 is the taxes. Cali's tax rate's 13.3%, the highest in the United States, and there are plans to increase it up to 16.6%. But state taxes are only one of the numerous ways you get robbed in California at every level. One of many examples from my own experience. As I said, I worked 3 jobs at one point, all of which were 1099, which meant I'd be paying 20% federal tax anyway, plus the 13% Cali state tax. Well, the city of Los Angeles, in its wisdom, declared working 3 1099 jobs made me a business, sent me a business license and a bill for $500. This kind of thing happens constantly in Cali. The state, the county, the municipality are constantly finding new ways of picking your pocket without giving you anything in return. 5th, this is the last, but by no means the least. The fact is it's probably the decisive one, because this factor, more than probably any other, is driving mass exigration, I just made that word up, from California. When I moved there in 2007, there were pretty clear lines between the good, the mid, and the bad neighborhoods of Los Angeles in terms of safety and physical cleanliness. By the time I left in 2020, the borders of the bad areas had burst, spreading their filth in every direction. Never mind Skid Row and downtown generally. There are entire areas in places like Hollywood and Van Nuys now where you see homeless encampments going on for hundreds and hundreds of yards, bang in the middle of not only industrial and commercial, but residential areas. And each one is awash in garbage and stinks like a sewer. Rats run around day and night. There are needles in the gutter. People are urinating and defecating in broad daylight. It's not dystopian like dystopian. It is dystopian. In Santa Monica, I was walking down the beach one beautiful, beautiful summer day only to encounter a gigantic pile of human shit directly in my path. And then had to pull my friend off a homeless woman who tried to stab him because he wouldn't give her any money. When you're paying extortionate rent, when a trip to Gelson's or Whole Foods costs $100 for one bag of groceries, when it's a utility bill to fill your gas tank, when the tax man is almost literally following you around trying to work out the last few shekels out of your pocket while you navigate around fentanyl zombies trying to get to the grocery store, it's time to say ta to Tinseltown. Now, I won't lie to you. My last trip to LA filled me with nostalgia for all the good things the city and the state have to offer. The beautiful skies, the scenery, the culture, the opportunities that don't seem to exist anywhere else. The sense of being in the middle of this huge, vibrant collective of disparate human beings from all around the globe. But the fact is, until the whole west coast of North America, and I mean from Vancouver in British Columbia, which I dearly love, down through Portland and Seattle, San Francisco and LA and San Diego and beyond, all of it gets its head out of its collective ass and makes the places livable again for normal human beings who just want to work one full-time job and not find a junkie passed out in their car in the morning when they're on the way to that job. I can't go back, and I won't. Folks, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and remember to check out my books on Amazon. The link is in the description. See you next time, and until then, stay cold and stay out of California.